Last week, celebrities flew to Berlin to attend the Berlinale, I think it's called. They were there for reasons to do with their actual jobs, but lo and behold, big surprise, big surprise. It was the fact that they didn't uphold anything or say anything that was remotely political or offer any sort of stance that got people fired up and absolutely 100% angry. Honestly, I know this happened last week, or I know it did, but I still want to discuss it. Hello and welcome back to Chat About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters.
I crown you Queen of the Woke!
Let's chat about it. So whilst I am playing catch up, I'm going to ask you, should celebrities attach their political stances to their work, or should they stay absolutely quiet? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, prior to the main festival, the head juror, Wim Wenders, and the jury were asked about the ongoing conflict in Gaza, which prompted one juror to go ahead and say this. It was an unfair question, a bit unfair. Of course, we are trying to talk to people, every single viewer, to make them think, but we cannot be responsible for what their decision would be to support Israel or the decision to support Palestine, she said. There are many other wars where genocide is committed, and we do not talk about that. So this is a very complicated question, and I think it's a bit unfair asking us, what do you think? How we support, not support, talking to our own governments or not. So that's what she said in responses to the question. I think that's a fair response. Wim Wenders also added this. We have to stay out of politics, because if we make movies that are dedicatedly political, that we enter the field of politics. But we are the counterweight of politics. We are the opposite of politics. We have to do the work of people, not the work of politicians, which means overall the general consensus is this is a film festival and it's about film, not politics. So therefore, we're not going to offer a stance because it is a festival. This also resulted in an open letter where 104 celebrities at the time of recording, plus other industry professionals, claimed that Berlinale should fulfill its moral duty and state its opposition to Israel's genocide crimes. Now, I can imagine that these celebrities would be held to a double standard. I do have an article from Variety today, though, covering the issues. I will link the article below as well, as this is not the full article. I have just some selected quotes. A very clear sign that the world has gone topsy-turvy is when Grammys are more political than the Berlinale. But while anti-ice pins and punchy statements were the surprise headline act in LA earlier this month, over in Berlin historically, an event where politics has played centre stage on and off screen, the overriding theme of 2026 festivals so far is one of political silence. Or at least that's how the narrative has been framed. Festival attendees Wim Wenders, Michelle Yeoh and Neil Patrick Harris have all come under fire online over their apparent refusal to make political statements when prompted in press conferences, which I just happen to agree they shouldn't be offering it. Jury head Wenders comments on the opening day, in which he asserted that we have to stay out of politics when asked about the German government's support for Israel impacting the festival's stance on Gaza, lit the match. It soon led to be author Arundhati, I think I said that correctly, Roy, pulling out of the festival in anger. The bombardment of political questions in each and every media meet only snowballed from there on. As Berlinale's head Trisha Tuttle wrote in a lengthy statement put on Saturday, filmmakers are now expected to answer any question put to them and are criticised if they do not answer. For Tyler Jung, the German political journalist who has been asking many of the politically pronged questions given the rise of fascism across much of the West, artists with a bigger reach should be using their platforms to speak out. Fascism is the enemy of artistic freedom, he says, pointing to the attacks against Bad Bunny following his Super Bowl performance. So artists, especially Hollywood elite, have a special role in at least raising their voices. They need to step up, and the time to do that is now. We need to learn from history. One artist who did speak up, and I say this very loosely, did speak up to an extent, was Rupert Grint. Asked if he would comment on the rise of the far right in the UK in the press conference for Finnish horror Nightborn. His answer was obviously, I'm against it, prompted many to question the entire point of asking celebrities such questions. But that was a better answer than Neil Patrick Harris, said Jung. Nobody is expecting a TED talk, but at least expect one question and have an answer. But if an artist is afraid to speak up when it comes to fascism, then they shouldn't be coming, because these are different times. This is about good and evil, and as a German, we know what we're talking about. You can't be on the sidelines when it comes to this. It should be noted that in the same press conference for Nightborn, screenwriter Elijah Routstein did say that this was important to shine a light on whatever issues we are facing, because art is all about empathy, adding it may be good to create some form of pressure or just to get people aware of whatever is happening in the world. Now, I know that was a lot that I did just read out to you, but it was all very important stuff. The last sort of statements that we had, though, I strongly disagree with. In this day and age, we don't just have news outlets to highlight issues going on in the world. We have places like YouTube, Rumble, various podcasts, Spotify, and all these independent content creators. And we have a lot of those content creators who specialize in politics and war, and a lot of these people do have a very big following. With the age of social media, we can't stop celebrities from holding a political opinion. We can't stop them from tweeting about it, making Instagram posts about it and all of that. Whilst I'm not the biggest fan, and I think I've been very clear on that in the past, of celebrities taking obvious political stances, if it is on their own platform and not attached to any of their work, then it is not as big of an issue as attaching it to their work. Look what happened to Zegler because she attached it to her work. She's barely in Hollywood these days. Let's just put it like that. One of the three main actors, for Harry Potter, Rupert Grint is probably the least political, and he does tend to give, in my opinion, fairer responses than perhaps Dan or Emma. However, that response for most was probably not enough. They probably wanted him to say more. I think people forget that celebrities attending the festival may very well be there under a contract. There may very well be a clause stipulating that they are not allowed to say anything that is political. They've just got to talk about what they are there to do. We also have to consider the visa requirements. If they are on a visa attending the festival due to their contract, then the visa may also stipulate that they can't take a stance on politics over there or things like that. Much like I couldn't join any protest in Japan, if ever they had them. I don't recall them having many protests at all out there. There will have been things that would have prevented the celebrities from discussing politics there, be it rules, visa, contract, whatever it was. They were not allowed to answer in any great detail. When it is tied to their work, that is exactly as it should be. Actors and actresses are not expert politicians, and whilst they can hold their opinions about any conflict, even if it is just buzzwords, they shouldn't use a contractual obligation as a political stomping ground, as so many of them do. Now, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Please chuck us a sub. I don't ask you often enough, but please, it would help the channel out. Check out some of the other content I have picked out for you. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye. Thank you for watching today. Don't forget you can join me on my other platforms as well. I've got YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, X, TikTok, Instagram, Locals, Substack, and I also have a Discord. Everything is linked below.